He said you'd come. Now let's hope you're not too late.
We know each other. He's a friend from work.
Long talks. Long talks.
Talk just a little bit, just for the sake of it. Say what you think of it.
Long talks. Long talks.
Talk just a little bit, just for the sake of it. Say what you think of it.
Long talks. Long talks.
Talk just a little bit, just for the sake of it. Say what you think of it.
Welcome to Jumanji.
Hey everybody, welcome to another Is It Worth a Tenner review from Woolong Talks. My name's Jason, I'm the host of the Woolong Talks podcast, and if you're listening to us for the first time, welcome. Thank you for listening. Hope you're enjoying what you're hearing so far. If you like movie reviews, and especially if you like my movie reviews, then make sure you check out all of them. They're all available on the channel that you found this recorded on. Okay guys, well, I wanted to chat to you a little bit today about a movie that I've seen very recently. This movie has really left me with not even mixed feelings, just huge disappointment. I think that's the best way to put it, to be honest. The movie I'm talking about is Venom. This movie has, as said, recently just been released. It stars Tom Hardy, Michelle Williams, Riz Ahmed, and is based on the Venom comic books and the Venom comic book character. Now, for those of you that don't know, Venom is quite a popular comic book character. He's been around for a good few years, really. He's primarily been used as a Spider-Man villain. So for those of you who are fans of Spider-Man, you may or may not have remembered seeing in the Spider-Man animated series this kind of almost slightly demonic version of Spider-Man with, you know, large teeth and black suit with weird powers. That's basically Venom. Now, the character has kind of undergone a lot of changes over the years in Marvel comic books, and has taken on different iterations and joined different teams and things like that. But essentially, you know, the characteristics of that character kind of say the same, really. In this movie adaptation, it's kind of based on the original sort of comic book introductions of that character. Venom is inhabited by a character called Eddie Brock, who's played by Tom Hardy. And in this movie version, Eddie Brock is based in San Francisco. He's an investigative journalist who has his own sort of TV segment where he exposes corruption and things like that. And basically, he is tipped off to some experimentation that's being done by a scientist played by Riz Ahmed, that is leading to people dying. So him being kind of the guy that he is, he wants to go and find out what's going on. And then as he does that, he kind of stumbles across this alien being called a symbiote. Symbiotes are alien beings, again, that come from a distant planet in Marvel Comics, and what they do is they bind to a human being, and once they bind to that human being, they give them sort of extraordinary powers and strength and things like that. But symbiotes are very violent, and they're known to be very unstable. And with the symbiote, this scientist is trying to find a way to bond them to human beings so that human beings can leave Earth and travel the solar system and find other planets, because in his opinion, Earth is dying and resources are finite, and, you know, the usual spiel that you get from these movie scientists that they come up with to justify their nonsense. Anyway, that's kind of the basic plot breakdown. Is this movie worth a tenner? No, it's not. I would say this movie is just about worth watching if you can get yourself a pirate copy from somewhere. You know, if you're a big Venom fan, first of all, you're going to be majorly disappointed, because this movie really doesn't base itself on the comic books at all. I mean, it does and it doesn't. There's elements that it takes, but most of the characters are pretty unrecognizable from what they were in the comic books, particularly Eddie Brock, played by Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy, I have a kind of love-hate relationship with. I think when he's good, he's brilliant, as in, you know, the TV series Taboo from the BBC, which I thought he was phenomenal in. But when he's bad, he's kind of a mumbling, shuffling kind of weird guy, and it just comes off as difficult for me to watch, you know. And here it's kind of mumbling, shuffling Tom Hardy for the most part. He also provides the voice for the symbiote Venom as well, and he does quite a good job with that. That was quite an entertaining aspect of it. But his central performance is just difficult for me to kind of penetrate, because a lot of the time I don't feel like I can understand what Tom Hardy's saying. And yeah, there's no real clarity with regards to what he's saying anyway, but that's probably a good thing, because the dialogue in this film is unbelievably atrocious. I'm somebody who doesn't mind a bit of cheese and occasionally likes things to be over the top, but you know, you do these things within reason, unless you're trying to make a slapstick comedy movie, in which case, you know, all bets are off, and you know, no holds are barred, and I roll with it. But Venom is not that. It's not a slapstick comedy. It doesn't seem to know what it is, because you know, if you cast your mind back when there was promotion going around for Venom, and people were sort of talking about what the movie was going to be, we were being told something very different to what I feel we got in this final movie. You know, there was lots of talk about how dark it was, and about how you know, how gritty it was, and there was a certain, you know, kind of realism that they were striving for, and how they were determined to make this different to every other comic book movie that's out. And it's certainly different, but not in a good way, because they really missed the mark if they were aiming for gritty. A lot of the comedy, as said, is rammed into the script, and it really, the jokes just fall terribly flat. I think there was one line in the movie that I actually chuckled at, and then the rest of it just doesn't hit the mark for me at all. It doesn't do gritty very well. It's the most bloodless 15 certificate movie I've ever seen in my life. The kind of like with the Predator, the violence is so over the top and so stupid that it doesn't really have any impact for me. So I didn't really feel like, oh, that was a bit grim or anything like that. You know, I just had no reaction, full stop, because there was nothing there. The action scenes, when you can see them, are okay, I guess, but largely it's just a cloud of CGI and poor lighting. There's also this thing that I keep bemoaning Hollywood for, and they keep on doing it again and again with action movies. It's this constant fast cutting where they cut between every single action sequence, and it's just so distracting because you can't see what's going on. You know, it becomes a mess, particularly, you know, I'm thinking towards the end of the movie when there's a big showdown at the end. It just kind of, it's almost incomprehensible to me, because I can't really see what is happening. I know and I appreciate that you're working with CGI, and, you know, because of that, there's certain things you have to do in order to disguise, I guess, what's going on, and that's fine. I can accept that, but it's just the way that this keeps getting done that is really, really starting to piss me off now with Hollywood movies. And that was really frustrating, I found, with Venom. Michelle Williams is in it, and she's okay, but I mean, she doesn't really have much to work with. The same applies to Riz Ahmed, who is a guy I love. I love all of the work that he's done so far in his career. And I've been a fan of his for years and years. But yeah, I mean, again, what's he got to work with on this? Not a lot, really. Aside from that, I mean, there's no other really kind of major characters that I can talk about without sort of spoiling too much for you. But it just, yeah, none of them really kind of hit the mark. The pacing in this film is weird as well, because it's a fairly pedestrian sort of opening 20 minutes. And then after that first 20 minutes, it's like it just rushes through. And it almost feels to me like they've rushed it through after those 20 minutes because they don't know where the plot is going to go next. Because the plot in this film is so thin. Like, if you wet a piece of toilet paper and start poking your finger through it, that's how easily you'd poke holes in the plot of Venom, because it's non-existent. There's really nothing there. It's just a really, really frustrating experience. And, you know, they've kind of been sort of proudly championing on social media that, Marvel Studios had no input in this. Kevin Feige had no input in this. And yeah, it's pretty clear that Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige had no input in it because it's terrible. I get the feeling that if Kevin Feige was handed this script, he would have put a big X through the first page and said, nope, go back and start again. Because it's just terrible. It's just really terrible. And I'm really kind of struggling to think of other things to say, to be honest, to you guys. I don't really know what else I can tell you without spoiling it. So I don't really want to spoil it for those of you who are interested in seeing it. And I guess if you can turn your brain off and kind of check your opinions at the door, then maybe you'll get something out of the movie that I wasn't able to get. And if you can do that, then great. But as said, even diehard Venom fans, I'm struggling to see how they're going to like this, because it's not the Venom that they were thinking that they were going to get, and it's not the Venom that any of us are familiar with. And yeah, I mean, even people who don't know Venom, like I was saying to Rich when we were talking about this, I was saying I don't know who this film is being aimed at or who it's for, because it doesn't seem to know its audience. Because of the weird different tones that it tries to kind of cram in, and the fact that it just, as said, it doesn't really tell an effective love story, it doesn't tell an effective drama, it doesn't really work as an action movie, it doesn't work as a sci-fi, it doesn't work as a horror. So, what is it? What is this film trying to do? I just don't know. I have no idea. And as said, I mean, I don't see how this is going to appeal really to people. I mean, I know the film is doing okay in the American box office. It had a really good opening day on the Thursday, but it'd be interesting to see how much money it eventually makes, because I can't imagine there's too many people coming out of that screening going, yeah, you've got to go and see Venom. Absolutely. Like, go see it, because it as said, it's just weird. It's just a weird movie, folks. All right, well, as said, I can't really recommend this to you in all good conscience, so I'm not going to. I would say to you, wait until it comes out on a streaming service and go and check it out then, if you really need to. Right, that's going to do it for me. Thanks a lot for listening to this. As said, don't forget you can check out all of our other podcasts on this podcast channel that you're listening to this on. You can also subscribe to us via Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and SoundCloud as well. Stay tuned to the end of this, as you'll get a few more details about where you can find us and all the different things that we're doing. Okay, that's going to do it for me. I'll see you on the next review, guys. Take care. Peace. Thanks for listening to us. If you're down with Woolong Talks, show some love by following us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram at Woolong Talks. You can also find us online at www.woolongtalks.com or drop us an email at woolongtalkspodcast@gmail.com. We can also be found as part of the Britpod Scene Collective, and we're also officially E14 endorsed. Search for those hashtags to enjoy more content from us and from other great British podcasters.